Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to today's America. This is Tofader from Millennium News Studio in United States of America. Viewers, so many things going on in the world, also America. We're going to talk about first our United States politics, then finance, crime, and health and climate. I have with me today from Westchester County, White Plains, New York, our good friend, co-host this program, George Ortega. George, welcome to Millennium News 24. Introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, I've been working on this climate change, trying to get the world to finance the fight we need against climate change for decades. And it's something that I'm optimistic about in the long term. In the short term, we have to get the money out of politics to do something. But that's been my main focus because it's the most important urgent issue on the planet. Except now, I've shifted over to this January 6th insurrection, Trump attempting to violently overthrow our country. Nothing gets done about climate change until the people that Trump is working with, are brought to justice, are disempowered.
Very good. You bring the Donald Trump, ex-president. What is the Congress doing right now? January 6th investigation. They found National Archive. He don't have a presidential record. All record he destroy, from email, from White House, everything. This is the biggest crime in American history any American president can do. President Nixon, he do not do this kind of things. He just recorded. He just simple recorded who coming his office. Just recorded. That's why he get impeached. He is out. But our ex-president Donald Trump, whatever he did is not good for presidential archive, presidential place, White House, also Republican Party. What do you think?
Yeah, well, these the data logs of phone calls, what he took to Mar-a-Lago from the archives. These are like relatively inconsequential because if we watched the impeachment, the second impeachment last year, we already understand that they have mountainous evidence against Trump. The man is going to spend the rest of his life in prison. because of the videos, because we saw exactly what he did. We don't need that data, but it's good to let the global audience understand the scope and range of the man's criminality.
You are right. Politics is nasty whole of the world. These days in America, our Senate, Congress block everything, whatever our president try to do. President, he have a special person right now for Supreme Court Justice, colorful American, African American, young lady, educated judge from North Carolina. He have a lot of candidate, but he committed to do some Supreme Court Justice African American. This is not a bad thing. Why our Senate and Congress, they playing with Joe Biden? Do you have any idea?
Well, my understanding is Biden can nominate anyone he wants, and the Republicans are inconsequential. You have to understand, with the Supreme Court nomination and appointment, you only need 51 votes. So the Republicans are completely out of it. So, the understanding, regardless of what the media is trying to scare us with, is that Biden can put in whoever he wants, and I have faith he's going to put in a good person.
Very good. We have a mainstream media, Fox News, American One, Newsmax, also Wall Street Journal, New York Post, and some other online right-wing media. They are talking about tracker can block whole American highway. Right now, all tracker in Canadian, they block Ottawa, and they block whole Ambassador Bridge by Michigan. No, Windsor, our American side is Michigan, and Canadian side is the Windsor. So Canadian government cannot do anything. I don't know what is going on there. They have a national security called RCMP, National Guard, National Police. They are not doing anything this tracker. And those news media try to argue our American tracker can block our border side all highway. So these things good for America, these things good for the sane system, or these things good for the mainstream media? George.
We all know, we all know who's behind this. Trump has people not just in the United States, but in Russia, in Canada. He's basically creating trouble, as much trouble as he can throughout the world, so the world will be distracted on our need to put him in jail forever, essentially. And so, this is partly Biden's fault. I mean, the first day that Biden got into office, he should have imprisoned Trump. He should have at least incarcerated him and begun the trial. As long as Trump is a free man, he's going to continue to misinform people, not here in the United States, but as we're seeing now in Canada. And this is why is Putin thinking about invading the Ukraine? This is all Trump. This is all Trump. You have to understand, the two have been working together for over 4 years. So basically, the Canadian problem is just one aspect of the danger that Trump represents as long as he's free, and that's why we need to imprison him.
Our Joe Biden, president, he respect the rule of law. He respect our politician. He been politician since 1970. He knows what politician can do. He respect the presidential palace, White House. That's why he don't want to put his judgment to the one person, Donald Trump. Reason, this is the presidential legacy, our 250 years, you know. So whatever you try to say, Joe Biden cannot put anyone in the jail. He respect the all American. He respect all American rights. But you talking the 51 votes. We have a 51 votes, but we have a 2 senator. Whatever bill coming in the Senate, they are, accused. They stop the games. So what are you going to do? This 2 senator, say something this regarding these 2 senator and this bill.
Well, these two issues are very connected. Biden, as you were saying, is a law-abiding person. And so, under our legal system in the United States, he appoints the Attorney General, in this case, Merrick Garland, who is going to prosecute Trump. And what's happening is that right now, people are focused on Russia, people are focused on Canada, people aren't focused on January 6th. But come November, when people understand, appreciate, fear what Trump tried to do and the danger he represents, then that means that the Democrats will win seats in the Senate. That means that January 23 Manchin and Sinema will be inconsequential. So we have to understand that very little politically is going to be done this year, because we have to focus on not just imprisoning Trump, but pretty much destroying the Republican Party that continues to side with him. This Republican Party is a de facto terrorist organization. They are behind a person who tried to violently overthrow our country. So we take things a step at a time. We incarcerate Trump, we indict the Republican Party, we win by landslide margins in November, and then we tackle, what's happening in Canada, what's happening across the border.
Thank you, George. One thing, George, our network, we don't want to tell the party line or the person bad things. Republican Party is oldest party in America, and they have a good people. Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, so many good President Reagan, so many. So they did good for the party, good for the American people and land of this country. We don't want to accuse the party or person, but the person who did crime, who is against constitution, against the government, against our federal government, state government, city government, our justice department have to do something. Otherwise, they're going to take over. They try to destroy our democracy. They try to kidnap our politician, before the election, that. So this kind of criminality have to be stopped. Otherwise, we're not going to have a good politician in American life these days. Our Republican friends, they have only one leader. Leader is Donald Trump. But Senate and Congress and also Governor House, they have a lot of good leaders. Lot of good leaders. Like a Maryland governors. He is working Joe Biden. He is working with everyone, Senate, Congress, Democrat, Republican. We need this kind of people. What do you think?
Well, years ago, yes. Years ago, the Republican Party was a relatively good party. You have to go back to when they ended slavery to call them a great party. But the party we have now is no longer the party of the 70s, the 60s, and before. Essentially, in 2000, when the Republican Supreme Court stole the election from Al Gore by stopping the recount, that's when they became a criminal party. Then, when they stopped Obama from appointing a Supreme Court justice, that was their second strike. And now, after January 6th, the Republican Party is continuing to back Trump. No, they have turned themselves into a terrorist organization. They understand that Trump violently tried to overtake our country, to overturn our election, and they don't care. So, like any, Cheney, you have a few, Kinzinger, you have a few who have bravely, ethically, really, morally took their stand. But the rest of the Republican Party is the biggest problem we have in the world. As long as they're in power, the things that we need to get done. So basically my point is, yes, no, the Republicans were a good party. Now they're the most dangerous organization in the world.
Our public have to be wake up. Voter have to be wake up. If voter, this generation, middle age and senior, if they don't wake up, our country is always going to be like this. Our Senate always going to be like this. Before 1990, Senate and Congress run by Republican. 40 years. You know that, 40 years Republican is out of the Senate, out of the Congress, both power. But they are in White House. So 1990s, when 92 Bill Clinton came, finally they coming to Congress power. Like who is the that time House Speaker? I forget the name person. He is always against Bill Clinton, also our Democrat Party. Our job have to briefing our people, wake up our people. We have to be right place, right time. We have to put someone in politics, our community, our city, our country, good man, who can work for us, who can work for my community, my cities, my country. Otherwise, the person is Republican or Democrat. We have to choose good people. Without good people, White House, Senate, Congress, always going to be like this. Do you have any idea how people going to be vote the leaders?
Yeah, Nora, so let's get to the root of the problem. Why did the Republican Party turn criminal? Because they're following the orders of the rich. The rich corporations pay them huge sums to win elections, to stop action on climate change, to stop action on violence in America, to stop action on healthcare. So it's really, the Republican Party is the army of the rich, and they are about to be defeated historically. And then you have to wonder, so the next step, that can't be the end of it. Once we imprison Trump and hold the Republicans accountable for January 6th, the next step is we must guarantee that our Democrats, the new Republican Party emerges from the ashes of this one, will get the money out of politics. That is the key. The reason we can't do anything across the board is because the rich don't want us to. Now, the rich are in for a big surprise. The reason for the last 40 years that they've been able to maintain this increasingly criminal system where they just call all the shots is because things have been relatively good for most of us, for many of us. All right, so a few years after this coronavirus ends and we have other problems and the fate of the country, the fate of the world turns worse, turns bad, perhaps worse, whatever. The rich they believe that their children and grandchildren are going to escape that. They believe that their rich children are going to escape the ravages of climate change. That's not going to happen because they don't understand human nature. As soon as things turn downward majorly here in the United States, everybody will turn against the rich, including that would mean that no, you have money, that's not going to entitle you to escape the ravages of climate change. The rich are in for a big surprise to the extent that they continue ignoring the problems that are going to affect their children and grandchildren at least as bad, perhaps even worse than the average citizen.
Thank you, George. We're going to go short break. Viewers, we're going to go short break. Please stay with us.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Viewers, we are back again. Today's America, Millennium News 24/7. We have a guest, our George Ortega from White Plain, New York. George, one thing our current government doing for bad things for worldwide, also Afghanistan. Afghanistan have some fund our reserve bank, but our Senate and Congress vote for release those fund last 2 days ago. But what is the Biden did? They have over $10 billion. He deduct $7 billion for the 9/11 families, and other money he going to return to the Afghan people. Is good things or bad things for the world politics?
Well, Noor, I mean, this is relatively new. It's just been coming up in the news over the last several days. I don't know his reasoning. It doesn't seem to make sense that Congress would approve this and he would change it. But again, the bottom line, we have to keep our eye on what's, that's a problem. Russia's the problem. Ukraine, there's the problems all over the world. And what I've been telling people, my understanding is, as long as there are so many Republicans in Congress, as long as the rich control both parties, we can't expect things to go as they should. So yes, this is like, to the extent that Biden is doing something that's not in the best interest of our world or of Afghanistan and all, that remains to be seen. But I also know that he cannot do what needs to be done to protect them, to protect our world, while there's money in politics. And so like it's a three-step process. We prosecute and imprison Trump for January 6th. We indict the entire Republican Party, vote them out of office for continuing to support Trump, even after he tried to take over our country. And then we get the money out of politics. Because again, the intricacies of this foreign expenditure of finances, the aid to, and the $7 billion isn't all that much to begin with. But all that, it has its roots. What gets done and doesn't get done financially, internationally, because of Biden in the United States, is all up to the rich. That's another problem that we need to solve by getting money out of politics.
Listen, I know you are against our ex-president Donald Trump, but one thing I can proudly say, Donald Trump term, 4 years, he do not kill or he do not put any bomb anywhere in the world, his eyes. all things make who? Republican Party and George W. Bush. So why you didn't bring the George W. Bush? Huh? George, listen, George W. Bush, his 8-year terms, he destroyed the humanity. He destroyed whole human being, this world. So many countries, millions of people, billions of dollar, arms, ammunition, bombs we put over there. For what interest? The Afghanistan we left over $50 billion flight, accessories, all everything we left over there. We don't bring anything. We cannot bring our soldier. We cannot bring our people. Still over there. Some people, green card holder, citizen, they cannot come. These things is too bad for our international politics. What is the Biden doing? Afghan people trustly believe our Reserve Bank. Whole of the world, they have an account, our United States Reserve Bank. Like I came from country called Bangladesh. Bangladesh have an account in US Reserve Bank. Billions of dollars. Same thing Pakistan, India, China. But we cannot block their money. This is not a justify or human being what we are doing. What do you think these things?
Yeah, and you're right. It's not just Trump. We can go back to George W. Bush. He invaded Iraq, and when they weren't responsible for 9/11, he killed 1 million people. So, the Republican Party, has been horrible for a long time. Now, Trump hasn't bombed people, but how many thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of people here in the United States have died because of his lies about COVID-19? He has killed many, many people. Moving on to Biden, yes, to the extent that he's doing something immoral, illegal in Afghanistan with those funds, you have to understand, it's not just Trump and the Republican Party that is the problem. The Democrats are almost as much, perhaps even as much a problem, because both parties are defending the money that controls them. What Trump did, what Trump is doing, what Biden is doing, this is not what they want to do, what they believe is right. This is what they believe the rich will allow them to do. So yes, I'm not going to defend the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party has not been addressing this for decades. They have known that money is the controlling factor in our politics for decades, and they stay quiet about it. In a certain sense, they're accomplices to the Republican Party that brought us to the state we're in now.
Millions of people in Iraq, Afghanistan died for this. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, they are play games. George W. father, one of the guy from Panama or Nicaragua, General Noriega, do you remember that?
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like 89 or 87. He is the president. He was a president, but he did against all supplying drug in our United States. That's why CIA they found, and they took the guy from their presidential place and they put on the Florida jail. He died last year on Florida jail. General Noriega. But we cannot do same way Iraq, like what is that called, Saddam and Gaddafi. Why we don't do these things? We killed millions of people and we do not build the country. We destroy it and we come back. Now China get in. Now is embarrassing. China gonna show what is the America did in Iraq and Afghanistan. You don't see the international news, Al Jazeera, Fish TV, NDTV, they're showing these things, and CGTV, they're showing every day what is the deed, in American government. When Russia was, Afghanistan, They never ever destroy their roads, highway, bridge, and culvert and structural houses, village, nothing. They take over the power in Afghanistan. But we are destroy their peoples, their livelihood, their school, college, institute, madrasa, their leaders, their people. So we calling the human rights, fundamental rights, human being. We are the genius human being in the world. This is the work we do in the worldwide, Mr. George.
Yeah, and this, if you ask yourself, why did that happen in Afghanistan and Iraq? Why are things still happening? The answer is always the same, always the same. These politicians that on both sides that started the war, the people, CNN, MSNBC, the owners of these news networks where we get our news, they don't serve the world. They don't serve the United States. They don't serve people. They serve their shareholders. They serve the rich. So that, if we want to get to the heart of why Iraq happened, why Afghanistan happened, all this, it is because we put the power to control the world in the hands of very few people. And these Rupert Murdoch, we did not elect this person. He owns Fox News. He should be in prison for creating the misinformation that caused probably hundreds of thousands of people to die from COVID. So, but it's always the same. Like, until the world understands that, all right, now we have the problem of Trump, we have to put him in prison, and then people have to understand, well, these Republicans who continue to support him even after he tried to overthrow our government need to be voted out of power. Once that happens, then we have to get everybody in the world to understand that to do what we need to do, not just in this country, but again, throughout the world, we must get the money out of politics, and that will be our opportunity. Once the Republican Party is extremely disempowered, then we in the United States can pass massive campaign finance reform, can get money out of politics, and then we will set a new standard for the world. Once we do it, throughout the world, people are going to be clamoring. We don't want the rich to control what happens in our country because the rich don't care about us.
You are right. But one thing, George, our Senate and Congress, for power of America, power of NATO, they investing over $60 billion Ukrainian border and Ukraine. Think about it. They send fighter jet and all kind of equipment for military fight in Russia. Over $60 billion materials we send Ukraine, Poland, Lithuania, and Romania. But Afghanistan, one of the poorest country in the world, we destroy their land, we destroy their everything. Why we don't, make something happen? Roads and highway, all houses, all villages. If we build their everything with this $60 billion, people is watching whole of the world. What is the America? We destroy Vietnam, but we build the Vietnam. This is the American history. We build their roads and highway, we build their structural everything and their business, and we have a good relationship with Vietnam now. But we destroy Iraq, we destroy Afghanistan, we do not build it, and we just come and we're going to start fighting another superpower right now. Why we are doing these things, Mr. George?
Right. So Noor, like starting $60 billion to these countries. The fact is that we have more than enough money to spend those $60 billion and then spend hundreds of billion dollars more to do everything else we need to do. In terms of rebuilding Iraq and Afghanistan, absolutely, that should happen. Morally, ethically, that is what needs to happen. But again, we have to always come back to where we are now. We have to understand that as long as Trump is a free man, the Republican Party is intact. As long as the Republican Party is intact, money controls politics. As long as money controls politics, we cannot do what we need to do in Afghanistan, Iraq, and throughout the world.
Brother, politics is nasty, but we hope our politician, Republican, Democrat, Independents work together, do something for Afghan people, Afghan land. We destroy their everything. Hope Joe Biden understand. He was a senator at that time and he give the permission to fight with Afghanistan and Iraq. Now he is the president. He is the chief of judicial board that time when George W. attacked these two countries. Right now he is ignoring everything. He do not want, do anything. Why he is in the White House? If he don't want to do anything, why you are in the power? Why you are supporting Democrat Party? Go to hell. Go to your house and what is called Delaware. You don't have to be. We don't want to see you. This kind of human being in this earth. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't really call Biden a good man because he's been part of the system for decades. He's understood that money has been the problem in politics for decades, and he's been silent. Now, he's going to do the right thing, imprisoning Trump.
Your sound is not coming.
Oh, I don't know.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Go ahead again.
All right, so basically, yes, I'm not going to call Biden a good person because for decades he has known that money has controlled our politics to the detriment of everyone. He has not cared. He's just cared about the people who finance his campaigns. So the idea is we have to keep in mind, keep going back to where we are now. Biden, for example, is going to do the right thing with Trump. He's going to do the right thing by imprisoning Trump because he knows that history will vilify him, will vilify the Democrats, will vilify all people in power. He'll go down as an accomplice of Trump if he lets Trump go free. All right, so he's going to do this not because he's a good person, but because he's interested in his place in history and he's interested in the money that's keeping things together now. After that is where we, the people, have to
again.
Take this up.
You have a problem with the sound. Go ahead.
I don't know. All right. So I don't know if you can hear me, but basically, once Trump is imprisoned by Merrick Garland, the Justice Department, a jury trial, then we remind people, well, he tried to overthrow our government violently, and the Republican Party is continuing to support him. And so we cannot tolerate that. That's the definition of terrorism. Basically, if we don't get what we want, we're going to violently overtake. No, we can't live with a world like that. So that means in November, if the Democratic Party has any vestige of morality in them, if they're not completely controlled by the rich, in which case the rich are creating a very big problem for themselves in the future. If we don't do that, then it's just a downward spiral. So the idea is in other countries like Iraq and Afghanistan, they have never experienced the middle class and the rich. It's easy for the rich to keep poor people who've always been poor. It's much harder. It's actually impossible for the rich to have a middle class and a relatively poor American population to lower their standard of living. Remember what happened during the Great Depression. Basically the economy collapsed, people were in trouble, between 1932 and 1936, the Democrats won 40 seats in the Senate. 40. That's Franklin Delano Roosevelt, his New Deal. They won a similar, comparable amount of seats in the House. So basically, because people were in need back then, they basically voted Republicans out of the party. And that's where we are now. So, like, right now things are pretty good for people, but the moment they start trending downward, the rich are history.
We don't want to blame third world countries or Middle East. We are the enemy of the people worldwide. Reason, we make the enemy. We have to be straight. We have to be strict. Our politician, our president, and our public, they have to do something good. They have to rebuild Afghanistan. They have to rebuild Iraq, Syria, Libya, these 4 countries, and Yemen. 5 countries we destroy. Our politicians, they are destroyed. Now they try to destroy East Europe. This is American inside politics. Our CIA, this is the games playing our CIA, international group. Anyway, hopefully our people, they're going to work for their own rights, and they don't want to lose their daughter and children, a boy anymore in the fight with international countries. Hopefully they understood. Politicians have to be understood. You talking Donald Trump. You can see before the Donald Trump, Obama 8 years. People in the world, people thinking Obama is a young man, good man. He talking everything nice, but he destroy his hand 3 countries. You know that. He is not a good man. He is the another blood hunger guy. He destroy Syria. He destroy Libya. He destroy Yemen. He tried to destroy also Tunisia, but his politics is not happen over there. France involved over there. That's why it's not happen. Right now, what is our government tries to do is not good. People already anger and mad with American people, American politics. This kind of dirty politics, they have to be destroyed. You have anything to say?
Well, yeah, the United States, back in World War II, we were the heroes. We defended the world against Hitler and the Nazis, Mussolini, these are the same people that we have now with Trump. So they've come back, so we have to beat them again. But back in the 40s, we were the heroes. By the 70s, we get turned. By the 70s, the rich got control of our country again after the war. And the major problem they created, that is why the United States is probably the most dangerous country on the planet, is because they fueled climate change. They are responsible for 25% of the greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere, and we only comprise 5% of the population. Not just that, we fueled the coal and the oil that in other countries has caused this problem. So yes, if we want to talk geopolitics, the future of our planet, of our civilization, we have to understand that the United States, until they get money out of politics, is going to continue to be the most dangerous country on the planet.
Very good. This world, this planet attacked by some virus called corona. Millions of people gone from this world. So many politicians, they do not trust this science or this virus. Like our ex-president, Donald Trump, he have a corona. He did vaccination. He did booster. He did everything. But his follower, they don't do it. We don't know what is going on with them. Same thing. Also Brazil. Brazilian president, he do not trust the virus, but he get attacked by virus. He did the vaccination, but his follower do not do the vaccine. These days, Omicron attack. Also Omicron, so many people gone from America. In America, right now, these days, over 2,000 people died, but our media is not broadcast. This is one of the worst things, So, what do you think right now in Britain? They don't want to test anything virus anymore, and they do not want to use the masks. They normalize everything. This is going to be happen our America too?
Yeah, well, in a certain sense, or we can talk about the United States being an evil country, but we can talk about all of us being an evil human population. Because this pandemic, not only scientifically do these pandemics arise from factory farming, from this horrible treatment of animals, but it's something, it's beyond that. It's basically, this pandemic represents God being angry at us, and we who allow these politicians to get away with not doing the right thing, who take part in this eating of meat, dairy, fish, and eggs that causes so much cruelty. God is in charge. God is in charge. The rich aren't necessarily in charge. Or with what's happening now, and God has done this before. You can remember the French Revolution when the French people just murdered all of the rich. Remember what happened in China and Russia when the people, the masses, got tired of the elites. They murdered millions of them. So basically, it seems like God is afflicting all of us with this pandemic, because we are all complicit in it. But God, I think, is sending another message to the rich. You want your children and grandchildren to thrive in a good world, you had better begin doing the right thing.
We're going to go to right now environment and climate. George, our American government try to stay focused on superpower, all kind of things. Glasgow, England, last year, they promised they're going to invest this year, this coming year, $40 billion. But climate account or climate, they have a CEO post, someone from Britain. He told the media, America committed, still they do not put any penny. No one deposit any penny. So how come we are committed everything we're going to do, but we do not supply? Main thing is money. What's happened?
Yeah, and I'm optimistic that ultimately we will finance this fight. We have the technological solutions, we're working on them. And so what's happening is, think about it, things aren't all that bad with climate change right now. But actually people are going to understand, maybe a year or two from now, that this pandemic is a result of climate change. What happens is when the atmosphere gets warmer, decade by decade, that increases the likelihood of pathogens developing, the kinds of pathogens that cause epidemics and then pandemics. So people are going to understand that climate change is not just a danger for the future, it's something that is punishing us now. So again, the climate change problem is the same as every other problem. And the solution is a three-step solution. Put Trump in prison for not January 6th. Get the Republicans out of government. After that, explain to the American people, even after this person tried to overthrow our government violently, these Republican representatives were behind him. They are enemies of the people, so we vote them out of power. Once that happens, then the big fight begins. This is nothing compared. Then it is up to us to tell Biden, to tell the Democrats, you have done enough harm by protecting the rich for these decades. It's time to get money completely out of politics. Then we'll see action on climate change.
One thing, you talking Donald Trump, Republican Party. One thing, Republican get last election 75 million voter, and Joe Biden 92 million. So what are you going to do this 75 million? George, they are our friend, they are our brother, they are our mother, father, they are our sister. What are you going to do with them?
That's a quite great question. Like in our local communities, in our cities and states, sometimes you have some young men who make mistakes, who perform criminal acts, and then they understand too late that it was the wrong thing to do. What do? We reform them. We help them understand the error of their ways. We help these 75 million people understand that they were lied to, that they believed they were doing the right thing by attacking the Capitol, that they believed they were doing the right thing about supporting this Trump that is such a vile person. So yes, our task, just like we rebuilt Europe and the rest of the world after World War II, we have to rebuild these people who have lost their conscience, they have lost their souls. We have to redeem them. That's going to be the next step after getting Trump in prison and removing the threat of the Republican Party.
You know, our ex-president Obama, his term, 8-year term, he did one good job for all color, all race, all human being for America. Health care, Obamacare. This Obamacare love all Republican. You know, they have health insurance. This is the main thing one of our president did. But after that, Obama is not did anything wrong, right. Same thing, what is Donald Trump? Donald Trump did something good, but he have whatever he did, end of the day, end of the show, is not a good, is not a good result. Anyway, Biden already 1 year, 1 month gone. His time is 4 years. 1 month, 1 year already gone. Do you think he can do anything for American? I don't think so. His party, his senator, Congress, they don't like him. They don't like to vote for him. Reason? He like all color, all race. He talking the colorful people. That's why. You know that. So, he going to be failed too. Do you have it? This is the last word. Whatever you like to say, go ahead.
Well, yes, for this year, ending next January, Biden is not going to be able to do anything because most legislation requires Republican cooperation, and the two parties are not cooperating. But come November, when we win, the Democrats win by landslide margins, in 2023 is when you're going to start seeing Biden do what he needs to do.
Thank you very much, George. Viewers,
Thank you.
We have talked about our criminal activities and politicians, international finance, banking, and East European, whatever problem happening right now in Ukraine and Russia. This is the drama. But every single day, our brother and sister died, gunmaker, shut down by gun. 2 days ago, one of the guy from our community in Ozone Park, Ozone Park, some part is Brooklyn, some part is Queens, but neighborhood called Ozone Park. Front of his house, 35 years old, young man coming from work, midnight, 12:05, is gunned down. So our politician community, they have to work together. Otherwise we cannot do anything, So please watch Millennium News 24/7, also Millennium TV USA, and Today's America. We are on all iOS and Android devices and all smart TVs, also Roku Stick, Apple TV, and Amazon Stick, Amazon TV. We are on all social network, Millennium News 24/7. Viewers, whatever you are, please stay peace, love, and happiness. Goodbye for today and take care.